Yes. Yeah, I'm just gonna open up the meeting and then you're gonna go first.
Okay. Well, I'll
So
introduce myself after your introductions to the
okay.
people on the call who do not know me.
Yeah, so we're just gonna do instead of everyone going around and doing introductions, I'm just asking that people put their affiliation next to the name. And then so just quickly to go through the agenda for today's meeting. Um, First guest speaker, Pete Sutton. He's the Bicycle and Pedestrian Program Coordinator from MassDOT. And then our second guest speaker will be Judith Crocker. She's the statewide coordinator and outreach supervisor for Safe Routes to School. She'll be talking about school streets. And then we'll be discussing a couple bike and ped projects in the Old Colony region. And then lastly is a couple communications to go over. So yeah, Pete, you can take it away. And I've already given Sarah your role.
Right. Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. Glad to be here again. It's been probably a year since Kyle last asked me to present and talk about some of the things that are coming out of MassDOT's headquarters in Boston, which is where I'm based. Yeah, so that title pretty much is self-explanatory, bike and ped coordinator, with the emphasis on coordination. Many of you are in regular contact with me as far as that coordination goes. I'm constantly brokering information back and forth between MassDOT internally with all of our different sections and all of our districts throughout the state, and externally with all of our partner agencies such as DCR, Massport, the MBTA, other regional transit authorities, other regional planning agencies all across the state. Just people are always looking for status on projects, on funding, on MassDOT initiatives that we're working on. And that is pretty much my role in a nutshell. I'm constantly moving information back and forth and putting different people and agencies in touch with each other. And while at the same time managing our database of bicycle and pedestrian assets and infrastructure. I maintain the bicycle facility inventory, which still gets updated weekly. For a state the size of Massachusetts, it's pretty remarkable how much bike infrastructure we have that's going online as we speak, and also getting planned in the near term and far term, and also as far as our sidewalk inventory goes as well, we're expecting 2026 to be a pretty watershed year as far as that goes, because we just finished a project with UMass Amherst where they mapped the entire statewide sidewalk inventory using LiDAR technology. And we're actually going to have a meeting tomorrow to hand off the data and to get started on trying to put it all in a palatable form within GIS. So a lot of good stuff happening there. So I mentioned that I communicate a lot with our internally with MassDOT's press office. One of the things that I'm tasked with every year is kind of a year in review for all the bike and ped projects and initiatives. And I finished that right around the end of December. And Kyle, if I'm allowed to share my screen, I will bring up the report and go through it with the group because there is a lot to cover.
I just
All
made
right.
you co-host, so you should be able to
Okay.
share.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes. Yep.
Excellent. So yeah, this is just the basic report that I give to our communications office every year. This year was especially noteworthy, as it says right in the lead paragraph. The biggest takeaway this year is the number of new trail mileage opened throughout the Commonwealth, a record-setting 40 miles. I believe last year we only had about 15 miles, so this is basically tripling the amount of trail mileage that we added in 2025. I also said if adding a handful of trails opened by our partners At DCR, that number increases to nearly 45 miles. These are shared use paths, greenways, and side paths that have been successfully integrated into MassDOT's roadway and bridge reconstruction projects, with several examples listed below. And for our press office's purposes, I included some of the big ones. This one, the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail extension, is especially noteworthy because it created 5 new miles through Concord and Sudbury. So now the entire Bruce Freeman Rail Trail is about 25 miles, starting in Lowell all the way down to Station Road and Sudbury. And if people have not been on this trail yet, I would advise you to make a road trip up to here. Having been on every trail in Massachusetts that MassDOT has constructed over the past decade or so, this one really sets the bar high. It really came out spectacular from just all the scenery through some beautiful preservation land and forests and wetlands to the entire layout of the trail. The right-of-way was perfectly intact for that 5 miles. You can see that photo on the left-hand side where we really upped our game as far as wayfinding goes, where we have near and far destinations. We also had added some trailside amenities like kiosks and benches and seating for folks all along. There's an underpass right there at the beginning of the latest extension at Powder Mill Road in Concord. A really nice amenity towards the a trail. So yeah, really, really proud and happy with how this section came out, and it really does prove the point that trails are amazing amenities, and MassDOT is capable of doing great, awesome aesthetic work as far as making these linear parks destinations. If I could compare it to another one, it's the Mattapoisett Rail Trail that we opened 3 years ago that practically overnight became a destination because of that beautiful boardwalk right alongside the ocean. And, this is similar to that, but in a different environment. Switching gears to the completely urban realm, another one of our big signature projects that MassDOT opened this past year was the reconstruction of the old North Washington Street Bridge in downtown Boston, which connects the north end of Charlestown. That bridge was over 100 years old, and we gave it a full reconstruction, rebuilt actually from the ground up to modern complete street standards. You can see the photos that not only do we have a 12-foot wide sidewalk where the red line represents the Freedom Trail in downtown Boston, but we also have 7-foot separated bike lanes. And if you look on the photo in the right, we also have 2 lanes of traffic in each direction, in addition to an inbound bus lane on the inbound side coming from the Tobin Bridge into the Haymarket Station, because that is one of the busiest bus routes there, coming and going in and out of Boston. So really, really pleased with how this came out as well. And it was renamed and dedicated for Boston Celtics basketball legend Bill Russell. So it is a mouthful to say the North Washington Street Bill Russell Charlestown Bridge, but I believe that is its official name. Another thing that I wanted to point out, which is a great trend going in the right direction, are the reason why the project mileage for shared use paths spiked this year was not only the shared use path networks, which we keep on opening up, but a lot of our roadway reconstruction projects are starting to have those shared use path elements on it. And I want to call to attention 3 projects that really did that. Those projects a service. Down in Fall River, we opened up 3 miles of shared use path that were constructed alongside the Route 79 grounding mega project. That's where we took a lot of the old Route 75 elevated highway and put it down to a boulevard level. And that resulted in not only a lot of new land to be redeveloped, but also a lot of right-of-way where we were actually able to put shared use paths on both sides of the roadway. And that is a first, as far as I know, as far as MassDOT projects go. There was another project where we were able to do that also out in Western Massachusetts along Route 9 in Hadley. That was about 4 miles of trail, a couple miles in either direction. So where we have the right of way, we will put infrastructure in on both sides. But as a lot of you know, especially living in Massachusetts and the Northeast in general, our right of ways are typically pretty constrained. But it was nice to be able to do that in these two situations. Also, opened about a mile and a half worth of trail along Route 20 in the middle of the state in the town of Oxford, too. Other notable corridor improvements that were completed in 2025 out in Pittsfield, in District 1, in Springfield, Spencer in District 3, Billerica in District 4, Sandwich, another great project in District 5, where we built a shared use path along the Route 6 service road. That was almost 5 miles worth. That also included new sidewalks and a trailhead. And also District 6 in Chelsea, where we did a entire roadway reconstruction project along Route 107 that included new bike lanes, sidewalks, crosswalks, and bus stops. Also, highlighting sidewalk reconstruction projects. Here's a good one out in the western part of the state along Route 20 by West Mountain Road in Lenox. Also, other notable projects in construction were extending the Northern Strand Trail out through downtown Lynn and Nahant, another 2 miles of trail that is going to make a bike to the sea. We finished the original trail about, I want to say 4 years ago, and this is an extension, taking it all the way out to Nahant Beach. You see some great photos of it right here to the left. That's along the Lynnway in Lynn, going towards Nahant, and also upgrading some bus lanes as well. That is going through downtown Lynn. That's right along Market Street. Couple of other trails that I've highlighted that are going to be opening this year in 2026. A nice section of Route 30 out in Newton called the Commonwealth Ave Carriageway. That's another example where we had the existing right-of-way. This used to be Commonwealth Ave, where they had a regular double barrel lane for cars and a carriage road for horse-drawn carriages back in the day. We're repurposing that into a shared use path and sidewalk. And other programs that I can touch upon are the Shared Streets and Spaces program, where we gave away a total of $56.5 million. These are projects that are mostly quick build bike and ped projects. This was established, as a lot of you know, during the pandemic, and has become its own internally funded annual project that is always heavily subscribed throughout the year. A bunch of you also attended the 2025 annual Moving Together conference. That's MassDOT's annual conference that we hold, highlighting all the bicycle and pedestrian initiatives that we roll out with ourselves and all of our partner agencies across the state. We had another sellout in person this year at the Sheraton Hotel in Boston. Over 1,400 conference attendees came. It is definitely the networking place to be for the entire year. Everyone who's anyone within active transportation attends this conference. We sell out every year, and it continues to be one of MassDOT's signature events alongside the Innovation Conference, which is taking place in May this year in Worcester at the DCU Center. Our Safe Routes to School project continued on. We now have 1,270 schools throughout 288 communities in Massachusetts. Had another fully subscribed round of funding. I know that Judy is on the call. She's going to be talking more about this program later. The companion to that is MassDOT's Complete Streets program. In 2025, we had 40 participating municipalities where we got to distribute almost $15 million worth of funding. These are for all local roads, non-MassDOT roads, roads that are not under MassDOT jurisdiction, which quickens along the process, not as much oversight when you're not using federal funds. So this has always been a very popular program as well. The MassDOT pedestrian and bicycle plans continued on with its funding. In addition, many initiatives have spun off from that, like the bicycle count program. Last year, we launched next generation bicycle and pedestrian vision map. I think I presented on that last year for this group. This project plays a significant role in making walking and biking more viable option for short trips throughout the Commonwealth. This is based on the number of missing and insufficient pedestrian and bike corridors that this project identified on MassDOT roadways, involving physical and quality gaps and resulting from project prioritization identified, providing a roadmap for targeted, equitable, multimodal investments for the foreseeable future, directly supporting MassDOT and achieving the transportation vision as established in Beyond Mobility. Think of this as a companion piece to the Beyond Mobility Transportation Plan, where these are a whole list of implementable projects from that. Another great year for the Mass Trails team, where we awarded $7.5 million to about 50 projects all throughout the Commonwealth. That has proven to be a great program that I'm happy to be involved with. The Mass Trails team, for those of you who don't know, comprised of the three lead state agencies that put together and build trails throughout the state. That's MassDOT, the DCR, and the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. We started in 2019, and every year the program has gotten bigger and bigger. A great event from a couple of years ago in Holliston, and then a photo at the right with one of our signature events that we did this year out on the Neponset River Greenway in Dorchester. Massachusetts Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board had another productive year last year, where we talked about evaluating and improving MassDOT's long-range transportation plan Beyond Mobility, bike and PED project implementation, featuring the next generation vision map, updates to the impact crash data portal, improvements and additions to the Safe Routes to School program, in addition to promoting cycling and walking statewide. We also had 3 great meetings out in the field, one of them which was down in New Bedford, where we got to take the new South Coast Rail train service down to there, which is fantastic. We also had away meetings in Worcester and Greenfield as well. One big initiative that was established in 2025 that will continue on in 2026 is the Micromobility Commission. For those of you who have heard about this, Massachusetts Special Commission on Micromobility is charged with making recommendations to the legislature that assist in modernizing the Commonwealth's regulatory framework for small-scale transportation, including e-bikes, scooters, mopeds, and other personal mobility devices. There were a series of meetings that took place last year that I attended, most of them, along with folks from MassDOT's Mobility Lab representing the secretary. And the finished product is a full report that just got completed. It's actually being reviewed by state legislators right now as we speak, and it should be released, if not by the end of this month, then early next month. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what people think of this. As a lot of people know, the e-mobility issue has just gotten bigger and bigger, with more e-bikes and other e-mobility devices popping up everywhere. It is expanding bicycling and mobility, but it also does not have the regulation that it perhaps should have as far as setting speed limits, as far as setting what types of mobility devices can be allowed on what types of facilities. Already, we're starting to hear of some restrictions that are taking place, especially on DCR paths, where they're only letting Class 1 e-bikes use them, which do not go higher than 20 miles per hour, and more to come. Very interesting report that I will certainly share with this group once it's made public on that Beyond Mobility website, which is also there. So yeah, a lot as you guys can imagine happened last year. Happy to document it, and happy to answer any questions. And I know that I have a couple questions too at the local level. So hopefully we can have a few minutes of back and forth here, right, Kyle?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, if anybody has any questions.
I know that. Oh yeah, Alexis, go ahead.
Not so much as a question as promoting Walk Massachusetts is going to be doing a meeting on the 26th at 1 up with the folks from MassDOT about the Micromobility Commission report.
Great. Yes, I plan on tuning into that. Even though I have seen the presentation before, I literally need to drill it into my head because as many of you know, it's starting to take up more and more of our time as planners. I know that it is definitely front and center on my radar screen, and will continue to be as rules and regulations get hashed out over the next part of the year. Go ahead, Matt Hines from Duxbury.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I guess just a really quick question. I think in your slideshow there were like 2 or 3 grant programs. You went over really quickly. I think one was Complete Streets, perhaps.
Yeah.
And then there was another one. I'm just kind of making note of them.
The Shared Streets and Spaces.
And I thought there was
also the Safe Routes to School and the Mass Trails team. Those are just 4 of them that I mentioned.
Great. Are those all grant programs through the state, through DOT or some other state?
Yep. They're all internal grant programs that have funding rounds at least once a year. I know Complete Streets has 2 rounds of funding. Check out. I'll be happy to drop some links in the chat for you after I'm done speaking, and you can familiarize yourself with those.
Okay, great. Thanks. Obviously, I'm asking for ulterior motives, so to speak.
No, I mean, by all means, these programs are put in place to help our municipal partners. So, they're a testament to our success, and the fact that, all of them have been around for quite a while now. I think Complete Streets just celebrated 10 years. I believe Safe Routes to School has been around almost that long. The Mass Trails grants have been around since 2019. The Shared Streets and Spaces have been around for 2020, and now they're funded annually, which is a testament to their popularity.
And Safe Routes is actually 20 years old.
Oh, wow. So, 20. Thank you, Jude.
20. The federal pilot was in 1999, but then we all got the green light to go, and we're across the country. We're 20 years old.
Great. And speaking of Duxbury, I know that I didn't mention these projects, but I'll give them a quick shout out now. MassDOT also, has internal projects where we're always upgrading intersections with our help from our district partners and other town municipalities. I know that we're making some improvements to the intersections at Route 3A and Route 139 in Duxbury, also at Route 53 and Franklin Street. tightening up curb radii, doing some curb bump outs when we have the real estate to do that. So, that's all the small stuff, but no less important, right? Those kind of things are all around the region, and they help make walking and biking that much more safer and broader for users. I also mentioned the Massachusetts Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board. I'm really happy that we just inducted 12 new public-facing members this past January. And actually, one of them is on this call. I want to give a shout out to Jed from Brockton Bikes. And Jed, if you can hear me, interested in getting your impressions of that first meeting and what you hope to accomplish with us this year.
I like getting to meet Secretary Yang.
Yeah. That was my first time meeting him too that day. So he was a very nice guy, very personable. We had a great conversation, and as you know, Jed, he stuck around.
Yeah.
He wanted to listen to everyone's story, particularly the new folks, and I'm really glad that you're representing Brockton and the whole Old Colony area in general, because it certainly needs it.
I was about to say, because I think I can't think of any other South Coast or like Route 24 people on there. There might be Fall River and New Bedford, maybe.
Right.
But in terms of like our part of the state, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different region, and glad you're able to be on the board.
Yep. No, thanks for having me.
Sure. One other thing while we're talking, and Kyle, you may keep better tabs on this at the local level than I do. As far as Mass Trails grants go, there weren't any submissions this year from the Old Colony region, but I did go back and look at from a couple of years ago, and I was hoping to get a status update on a couple projects. One was DeMarco Park in Avon. I know that we gave them a grant, I think back in 2023, to upgrade some of their infrastructure. Do you know if that ever happened?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I'm making a note of this so I can look into it.
Yeah, it wasn't for big amounts of money. I think they were just kind of looking to upgrade their existing infrastructure. It was a little out of date and kind of needed some sprucing up. So I believe we funded them maybe like $80,000 in construction upgrades. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that has made progress. And also the other one was in Abington, where they were hoping to extend a shared use path between the high school and the library and the town hall over to Broadmeadow Street and eventually to Ames Knoll Park. And I was just wondering if anyone knew if that trail ever got designed and built.
It hasn't yet. It's still in the works, from what I understand. The planning board is handling that in Abington.
Okay, but it is still advancing, right?
It is for now. That's the latest I heard. It's still advancing. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you for that update.
No problem.
I mean, Jed here, I would say in terms of if I'm thinking the correct Mass Trails grant, I've seen there's a technical assistance one, or like helps people with the planning. So and this is not, I've not discussed this with OCPC officially. This is just me personally, talking. But when that's been presented to me before, and I think, well, where the hell would we build a trail in Brockton? Because basically it's fairly urban / suburban city. But our thinking is, wouldn't it be nice to have a trail along the commuter rail right away? So you could bike from the northern tip of Brockton to the southern part, 3 commuter rail stations. So that's like a 20-year project, but I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, rail with trail is always tricky. As far as different agencies go, I know that the MBTA has completely different specs then MassDOT's Rail and Transit Division, and then you have private freight operators that have their own kind of specs. I know that MassDOT is a big proponent of rail with trail projects where we can fit them in.
Right.
Similar to the Fall River project down on Duval Street and Route 79. If we have the right of way, we're happy to put it in. But oftentimes than not, railway, especially right of way in the Northeast, is pretty constrained, and the tracks that are in use are pretty much used all the time, and sometimes you have to put a fence, and then 15 or 20 feet from the active rail line, and then it depends on how fast those trains are going. Lots of things. I would rather see Brockton trying to expand their separated bike lane network, along local streets. I think we could get more bang for our buck and accomplish things a lot quicker than in 20 years, right?
Yes. And we have some ideas for that too, but
Good. Well, I'm happy to hear those ideas, Jed, when the time comes. So hopefully we'll be in touch.
yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Peter, really quick question. I'm just curious, how do you go about checking the right of way if for a certain road?
Oh, we have our own right-of-way department within MassDOT. It's staffed by I want to say at least a half dozen people, and talk about subject matter experts. These people, it's mind-boggling how much they know about the built environment, and in particular, roads that are under MassDOT jurisdiction. It's a highly skilled profession to be in. It requires, like I said, a lot of institutional knowledge, a lot of knowledge of legal rights of way too, because you're kind of threading the needle as far as building on MassDOT owned property and abutting private property. That's usually where the where the conflict arises. And again, not to sound like a broken record, the Northeast, and in particular in Massachusetts, we have very constrained right-of-ways. It's not like the Midwest or out in the West where you just have so much more land and real estate to work with. If somebody doesn't want a shared use path or a bike lane on their street, well, you can just move it over to the next street. We don't really have that option here. We kind of have to work with the constraints that we're dealt with. But I can't say enough about our right-of-way staff within MassDOT. They do a phenomenal job, and often thankless, and most of the time behind the scenes. Most people don't even realize that, the work that they do.
I'm wondering how would we get connected to some of the folks on your right-of-way committee?
Oh, you can just email me, and I'll put you in
Okay.
touch with the right people.
Thank you so much. Also,
Sure.
I'm sorry if I jumped the queue for hands. I'm so sorry if I did.
That's okay.
I didn't, yeah. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah. Hey, Judy, go ahead.
Just to add to that, Sarah, to piggyback on what Pete's saying, on the Safe Routes to School website, which I put in the chat, if you go under education, if you look under webinars, a few years back, we did do a webinar on right-of-way. So just for some background information for you. Okay, the recording's on the website.
Thank you so much. I will absolutely check that out.
Yolando, looks like you have your hand raised.
Thanks, Pete. I think you might have already mentioned this, but if you could just remind us when those sidewalk inventory that MassDOT is working on and gonna publicize, when do you think the timeline is for that being made available?
I'll have a better sense of that tomorrow when we have the handoff meeting. But yeah, I expect that sometime this year, maybe into the spring or summer, we'll have synthesized the data and spent enough time with it then that we can put it out to the public. A lot of people on this call know that MassDOT's primary data sources are GeoDot website, and that's probably most likely where it will live. And anyone can sign up for a GeoDot account, especially if you're one of our partner agencies. I know a lot of you have them already. Yeah, it's our intent to get the state sidewalk inventory up to the level that the bicycle facility inventory is right now, which I think is one of the best inventories in the whole country. Just because we're updating it on a weekly basis. So we want to have that same level of detail and accuracy with our sidewalk network, just not even on sidewalks that MassDOT owns, but even municipal ones as well.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks
Yeah,
so much
me
for taking
too.
on that work too.
Been waiting for it for a long time.
All right. Well, thank you, Pete, for being here. We appreciate the update from MassDOT.
Great. My pleasure.
So I think we'll move on to Judy to give a presentation on school streets.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, everyone. I had big shoes to fill following Pete, so thank you, everybody. So Kyle and your organization has asked Massachusetts Safe Routes to School to give a bridge presentation for this audience on a webinar that we recently hosted on school streets. So I'm just going to share my screen. Sharing is not turned on.
I just made you a co-host. So.
Thank you. Okay, share. Okay, let me just move that sidebar slideshow from the beginning. Okay. I'm thinking spring with the purple here. So, given the audience, I'm sure everyone is familiar with the Safe Routes to School program, but we are a federally funded public and public charter school K through 12 program. We are really trying to bridge the gap between health and transportation. We have a collaborative program, community-centric program. It focuses on safety and exercise. We have a public health foundation known as the 6 E's. And part of that we're going to be talking about today when we talk a little bit about shared screens. So just trying to move this bar that won't move. Okay, so this is what we're going to just briefly go over today. Okay, so what is a school street? There's a lot of names for a lot of things out there, but this is really an international movement. It's a section of roadway abutting a school where it just focused more on people versus vehicles. It's usually used during arrival dismissal. And it has many different purposes depending on the need of the school and the environment and where the school is located. This is just a photo of, it looks very busy, but there's a lot going on. This is just a school in Poland. So why have a school street? Really, it's all about arrival dismissal and making that time period as safe as possible. For example, in Massachusetts, we have nearly 1 million students and staff every day, twice a day, arriving and departing school. So that's a lot of foot traffic, it's a lot of vehicle traffic, a lot of rolling traffic. So we just want to keep everyone as safe as possible. It's very effective. School streets about reducing or improving, I should say, air quality by reducing excessive vehicle idling. It's social. It's a play space. Many urban environments don't have green space themselves, or they don't even have a paved area to use as a hardtop area. So this, again, becomes an extension of the school. So, and it's also about, responsibility and ownership. If you're more engaged with your community and just using the facilities as more of a community-centric approach, everyone feels more connected. So there is very strong research about the connections with just the air quality around schools, but really if you try to reduce the vehicle use, what can happen. And so this is just one study that shows you this. And you can see in the chart how the arrival dismissal, that's the spike right there. Usually you don't have as much traffic at dismissal because many schools have after school programs for the students are sustained on their own. So school streets have a lot of common features. Usually there's a time closure around arrival and dismissal. You can always access them for emergency use and some for residential access. Many different instruments are used to support that. It could be flex posts, as you see in the upper right. In Britain, in the lower right photo, these expandable, retractable accordion gates are very popular. Again, they don't have the snow and ice that we have, so it's more for their climate, but it's kind of the trademark for their school zones. So, and also it's easy to launch a pilot to try to get everyone on board with this idea. Again, time closure, it can be all day. It can be a permanent all day. It can be just phased, or it can just be for buses only. Here is something from the Portland Bureau of Transportation out in Seattle. And you can see on the right how they just, as part of the pilot, they just had a few signs with some horses out. And on the left for the permanent, they're very happy with this because they needed it to be snowplow friendly, but also they were looking to be colorful, along with having regulatory and informational signage. The closures, if you're only talking arrival dismissal, is usually 30 to 6 minutes for each time period. This makes it very manageable for both staff and for the community in general, because everyone understands when this is going to be happening. You can see on the bottom right, for this photo, this school street, if there's still cars on the street, that's okay, but they're just not allowed to move during this closure time. And it's also where they're staging the buses in this particular instance. For all day school street closures, it's just an extension of the school property. So a lot of outdoor learning can happen. When they're permanent, whether you're using bollards or signage, a lot of student art, gates and things like that, it really does promote pedestrian priority and becomes more of a community space. So it doesn't have to just happen during school hours. I'd like to highlight the photo on the right. We'll talk about Paris again, but Paris has been extremely proactive in the development and production, if you would, of school streets. And so on the upper photo, you can see how this is a regular street, one way, parking on both sides, sidewalk on both sides. And what they did is that the parking spots became green space and the street became pedestrian, with gates up so that emergency vehicles could still pass through. So you could see the infrastructure changes were pretty much minimal. So it's just a different approach. This, again, very popular in France, or particularly Paris. Phase one, they usually have a temporary installation, and then they go into the permanent car-free streets. So they try to get all the kinks out, if you would, during the pilot phase. They're all pedestrian friendly, green space, they're adding more and more trees, seating, different play structures and features as they go. And they really designed for community use. It's not just school use, it's for the entire community. Barcelona is a different example. They actually have embraced superblocks around their schools. And so with this, again, the focus is on expanding the play space and the learning space in and around the school, but also trying to change the scale of this, going on a neighborhood transformation, if you would. And again, with Barcelona is a wonderful example because it is more of a grid system, dense urban environment. And they are still working a little bit perfecting their signs to make it more traffic calming going from one zone, if you would, to another. But the results have been a lot of ground art and a lot of more mobile markets and other things like that for general community use. New York City, I didn't need to hit that. Sorry about that, guys. New York City stands out as the largest US program for something like this. They have city policy about this. So it actually has a place where it lives. It's not a one-off experiment. They have developed very robust nonprofit partnerships in order to make this more of a, if it takes a village type approach. And again, community use. Okay, Portland. What you see in the photograph might look a little familiar to some of the closed streets that many of us tried to embrace during COVID, with just putting up just very simple sandwich boards. This is in the upper right is the sign which the city developed. And it's just, again, they've just trying to make the school front environments calmer. The same with Seattle. Seattle's a little different because they used it for school streets for 19 schools across their district, integrating Safe Routes to School along with Vision Zero. So talking about the air quality too. And it's just trying to make safety not so much a hot topic and just to be expected. And that's what we call when they've worked to really normalize what is expected being in a vehicle from that. Philadelphia, they recently completed a pilot at one particular school, very dense neighborhood, a lot of community input. You can see they had tabling events, really tried to up their game on bike trains and things like that, working on signage, but just, again, making it multi-stakeholders involved with this just to try to get the word out and really give it a more collaborative effect. The same with Sacramento and Los Angeles, really focusing more on rival dismissal, which is why we use the upper right diagram, similar to what we do here in Massachusetts for a communication tool. And just, again, on the bottom right, they're having actually an outdoor gym class, a PE class. So they really have seen an uptick in California, and they're walking school buses and bike trains associated with this. So there are many, many resources available to all of us. Here are some of the ones that are more quoted than others. Kyle actually has his PowerPoint, and these links are active, so feel free. And then we went into two different case studies, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. So this is the Hood River County in Oregon. So basically, they took two-pronged effect. They wanted something that was a cheap build, and they also wanted to get their kids in the street. They didn't have a lot of money, but they still got it done. So for $400, they did a one-day pilot. Then they went to a 1-month pilot, then to a 1-year pilot. And in between, they did a lot of surveying of the school and the local community. What I wanted to focus on here is really just the diagram on the right of the school street. So oftentimes folks think that it has to be a major thoroughfare that really frames the block or frames the street. And this is more of an interior, really tertiary road. So it can be just as effective. We talked a little bit about Portland already, and then Seattle. And again, working with DPW and town planning and engineering, want to make sure that everything that they put up for could be plowed around. So it wouldn't be difficult in that sense, in terms of public safety. We see this even in Massachusetts, where some schools might put up speed humps or speed bumps, and oftentimes they're the portable version for snow plowing. And then they installed it. So you can say very bright yellow, a lot of bollards. There we go. And like the fact that they're sandwich boards, which again, it's labor intensive, putting these in and out along with the cone. Usually a custodian or a town volunteer will do this associated with the school, but these are also in 2 languages. So just to point that out, both the pole signage under the school zone sign and the sandwich board are both bilingual. So this is what they suggest. It really just, is it a question? Is it a problem? Is it on the principal's wish list? You know, how can we try to make this work? And it's just getting the right people together, proposing a solution, and letting everyone know about it, and then getting it done. So the second story that we told was down the street from most of us in Arlington, Massachusetts. It's the Dallin School. And basically in front of their school, they have a very short bus-only loading zone. It's a mid-block. It's in front of maybe 4 or 5 houses. And it was just not working. Congestion during arrival and dismissal was considerable, going through the flashing stop time of the buses, etc. So sometimes this is what we see with our neighborhood schools. So working with the Arlington Transportation Advisory Council, which most communities have something similar to this. This is where public safety meets to talk everything about crosswalks to, you know, complaints about ways, traffic, to stop signs, etc. So getting together with them, Safe Routes did an arrival dismissal observation, and we created this map and talked about different ways where we could try to make it safer right in front of the school. So basically, the school street, if you would, is the 2 number 3s here. And so you can see it's not a long stretch of block. Traffic, it can still flow. So it's, you know, whenever you want to stop a street, it's a little bit like playing whack-a-mole. You have to make sure that the traffic still has someplace to go that is reasonable. But it's also separating your modes. So number 5 would be the family vehicle traffic. We have the pedestrian plaza between the park itself and a little bit on the school property. And this is the park on the right is actually also accessible through a path north of the photo. And then putting the buses right in front of the school, which is what we like to do. Try to give mass transit as much as we can. So we had community resident meetings. We received feedback about the pilot, did a survey, and then the school went to, working with the Transportation Advisory Board, they went to the Select Board. Had a lot of positive letters from abutters and the school itself for support. And so now it is a school street. So the full process took about 2 years. So that might be the down part of it, but that's pretty much what it is. They choose to use regulatory signage on a barrel. So this is a custodian actually moving the barrels in place. So again, it's labor intensive, but you want to have something in the roadway so that, you know, just a do not enter sign with hours doesn't always cut it. So they had a lot of iffy neighbors, but they came around. And again, their challenge they have found is this is that sign maintenance because of the barrels. So, and the Safe Routes to School family in Massachusetts, we also have our own school street guide. This is the link. Again, it's on our website, and the Arlington School is mentioned. Just a quick shout out for some upcoming events. Winter Walk. It happens in February. It can be anytime during the month of February. So this is time to get out there and walk and bike to school. We have our annual yard sign contest. The deadline for that is Monday, the 23rd. The theme this year is no idling. And again, we manufacture these signs and we produce them, and anyone can request them. Last year, our theme was helmet safety, as you can see here. And then I also put this in the chat. We have an e-bike webinar on March 4th. Bring your lunch, enjoy it. We have the Chief of Police from Marblehead. We have the ER from Mass General is being represented. We have Senator Creighton, who was the chair of the Micro Mobility Commission, speaking, as is Kara Olberg, who is a transportation planner, was also on the commission, and she's also a bike shop owner. So everything you want to know about how to buy an e-bike, etc. So lots going on. So thank you.
Thank you
Any
very much,
questions?
Judy. Does anybody have any questions? And like Judy said, I'll be sharing those slides with everyone. I'll be sending them out, so everyone will have access to the slides and the links within those.
Can maybe more comment.
Please.
So, through the bike work, I ended up getting involved with a lot of road safety stuff here in Brockton, and so I now go to the Traffic Commission every month. I've done that for about 15 months now. Our Traffic Commission is very resistant to quick build solutions, partly financial and partly they're just skeptical. They don't get it. And the DPW commission is so in our ordinance, the DPW commissioner is actually the deputy traffic commissioner. He has a lot of influence. So his cynicism tends to influence the rest. So for example, he says like, flex posts that get knocked down. And in my mind, I'm like, well, yeah, duh. That's the idea as compared to damaging the vehicle or some child, So they have recently finally redid a couple intersections, both related to kids, to students, with paint. Basically, in one case, they put out cones. In another case, I've actually been sneaking cones out there myself and just put them up all the time. And one of those cases, Old Colony Planning Council did a road safety audit at a cost of, I don't know, $15,000, $20,000 that recommended a whole series of permanent and temporary improvements to this particular intersection. And one of them was to make it more of a 90-degree angle. So that's what the paint does. So that's like the stopgap solution, because we don't have any money we don't budget money for traffic lights in Brockton. We depend on TIP and other state money entirely for that kind of stuff. So, but in that case, what had happened was we had a safety march, and the very next day, a 16-year-old girl got hit getting off the bus at that intersection. There's effectively a slip lane coming around the corner. So anyways, there's the improvements by way of paint, as well as the school department moved the bus stops, has improved the situation. The other intersection, Market Street and Warren Ave, numerous residents had complained about it, and finally took the school nurse so there's a small school at that intersection, complaining to the Traffic Commission to get them to again. And in that case, our engineering firm had, recommended, it warrants a 4-way real traffic light, but just we don't have the money for it. So what are they going to do in the short term? So that's sort of my venting. I mean, many of our schools here are actually, Brockton's quite suburban in much of it. And so many of our schools actually are more suburban format, meaning they've got their own driveways, their own drop-off areas that are separated from the street. As an example, one of the schools, the Raymond School, was just at the Traffic Commission or someone from the school, because the exit lane that comes out of that, out of the school property, while cars attempted to make a left onto a main street and never are given the courtesy to pull out, that was blocking all the right turners. So the stopgap solution is to make it a 2-lane thing, but it really doesn't fix the problems of that main street of Oak Street in this case, of just not being a safe place to cross, even in a vehicle, right? So, so I don't know. I mean, recommendations, I would say, anything that the state does or other funders does that sort of forces Brockton's hand, are good things. And they help, activists like us and other advocates. Yolando's been more than a partner. He's the one who sends me a lot of this stuff. says, what about this? What about that? Because he lives here in Brockton as well. Uh, but yeah, it's a battle, you know.
It is. It's baby steps. It's
Yeah,
baby steps to get to the solutions that we all want to have.
right.
So we've been very active. The Safe Routes family has been very active in Brockton. The school department has chosen to focus more on education. So we do a lot of our Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed accredited pedestrian and bike education. That's been what they've asked us to focus on.
Yeah.
However, we have done a few what we call arrival dismissal observations. And this is where we're looking at the school property and the school zone for just that. How do you separate in your modes? What kind of signage do you have? How do you use in the front door? And then lastly, what are people really doing? If you're asking them to do X, are they doing X or are they doing Y or A, B, C, D? So with all of that, we make recommendations. It's a media report and we present it to the school, and then we ask the school, do you want us to present it elsewhere? So many communities have, let's just say, a naysayer or resistance within town staff, as did Arlington. So we had to figure out, okay, this individual keeps saying no. How can we open up people's ears and minds to think otherwise? So basically, we just included many, many, many stakeholders. And so sometimes the more people at the table, if you have a naysayer, they're hearing it from not just one or two people, they're hearing it from a number of people. So everybody has a boss. You look at it that way. And so we just kind of take that approach. But yeah, it's baby steps for what we all do. But it's a start and it's a consideration to make. And again, most New England towns work, not all, but most, particularly Massachusetts, we have neighborhood schools. So what we do for the infrastructure in and around the school and the school zone affects not just the school, but the neighborhood. And so,
yeah,
that's where we go. So that's what we recommend. So I know Bonnie Roslin is the outreach coordinator who serves Brockton. And she's been very busy in Brockton. But again, if the schools don't, only a handful of schools have asked us to do an arrival dismissal. So we also do walk audits, that journey from home to school to figure out beyond that. And no offense to any NPO, but we're free.
No, and Brockton Bikes, we also, one of the things we just because we do monthly rides that are intentionally on the streets. Brockton, one of the things we've wanted to do, we just haven't managed to pull off is when one of these bike caravans does happen, we want to be part of the escort to that. And we understand there's, some legal aspects to that,
Right.
But meaning, but as adults who are used to riding some of these same streets, some of our members even live up the street from one of the main schools. The kids drop their bikes on a lawn where they rest. Like, we know kids are biking by the house, and so that's one of the things we wanted to do. And the other thing I would just say, I mean, I'm sure you've observed this, maybe not in Brockton, but in many places, there's also, the schools are siloed from with the quote unquote city side of things. So meaning the schools and the school committee could embrace something, and the school and the city council might have no idea or might not even care. Right. And that also happens here quite a bit. So even when it comes to financial stuff and, you name it.
Yeah. And that's part of what we try to do is break down those fences.
Right.
Because, a school is governed by the school, but it abuts municipal streets, which has different rules, different regulations, different personnel. And so it's bringing together the municipal government with the school government.
Right.
So we have a lot of stakeholders at our table. We're not a stay in your lane program. Yeah.
Yep.
Any other questions? Is everybody awake?
Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you again, Judy. So we'll move on to the next agenda item. Let me share my screen again. So Sean, if you want to go over these items.
Yes. Thank you, Kyle. For any of those who may not know me, my name is Sean Bailey. I am one of the senior transportation planners here at Old Colony Planning Council. Here to talk to you about a couple of projects in our region that have bike and or ped aspects as part of the project. The first project is number 610804 in the town of Avon, corridor improvements on Route 28. Work on this project includes roadway resurfacing, sidewalk construction or reconstruction, and ADA curb ramp installation, amongst other aspects. Project limits on this project are on Route 28, excuse me, from the East and West Spring Street intersections, northerly to the Avon Randolph town line. This project is in the preliminary design phase. And then the second project is 613012 for District 5, safety improvements at various locations. This project will include improved safety for all road users by implementing short-term safety improvements, including but not limited to pavement markings and improving existing crosswalks or installing new crosswalks. This project is being initiated for District 5, not including the islands. And two of the aspects that are relevant to the Old Colony region are corridor-wide systematic improvements, implementing passing zone closure per district traffic section recommendations. And then in the town of Duxbury, the intersection of Route 53 and Franklin Street, tighten up curb radii at the intersection and add painted median islands. And then other short-term improvements, town of Duxbury at the Route 3A and 139 intersection, tighten up the curb radii at the intersection with paint and curb bump outs. And then secondly, in the town of Easton, the Route 138 and Turnpike Street intersection, better channelization of the intersection. The notice to proceed for this project was issued on June 4th, 2025. And Barbara, I'm not sure if you have any updates on the second project. I know you, with this, the Avon project being in the preliminary phase, whatever additional updates you may have for the District 5 project.
Okay, yes. For the District 5 project, the various location project, as you said, the contractor got their notice to proceed back in June. And since then, they've had a pre-construction conference that was held at the end of June. They've also begun their subcontractor submittals for approvals for the subcontractors, and also have started submitting their document submittal for approval process too. They've also done started, I believe, some survey for the passing zone closures, and they're also doing some you have information ready for some regular survey that's being done out there too. So they are moving forward with it. You know, as I said, I mean, they just got their notice to proceed last June, so it's still in the preliminary phases for what they're doing for construction out there also. And for Avon, it is still in the very preliminary phases. I do not have any updates on that one at all.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Barbara. Does
Thank you.
anyone on the call have any questions? Okay, thank you. Back to you, Kyle.
All right. Thank you, Barbara and Sean. Moving to the next item, communications. Just want to make note, coming up in May is National Bike Month. Just some dates throughout the month. Sunday, May 3rd is National Ride a Bike Day. Monday, May 11th through Sunday, May 17th is Bike to Work Week. Friday, May 15th is Bike to Work Day. And then Friday, June 19th is the Kitty Knox Juneteenth ride. Not in May, but figured I'd throw that in there. And then as far as OCPC events, we are planning 3 events, which will be sending out notification of those fairly soon. And then 2 public meetings coming up. The first one in Abington. It's for intersection improvements at Randolph Street, Richard A. Fitz Drive, Route 139, and Chestnut Street. And this is a virtual design public hearing. That'll be on Tuesday, March 10th at 6 p.m. And then for the town of Duxbury, intersection improvements at Route 53 and Franklin Street. This is a public information meeting, and that'll be on Tuesday, March 24th at 6 p.m. And I just attached the two flyers for both those meetings. Does anybody have any other last minute questions, comments?
Kyle, I did add something in the chat for anybody who's interested. Maybe you can share it with folks in your municipality or in your network. But T4MA, Transportation Massachusetts, is they're bringing back their championing institute. So if you know any folks locally who are huge champions for the things we care about, like making our communities safer for walkers, for bikers, for older adults and children getting to and from school, share this with them. It could be elected officials, staff, or it could be advocates locally. And the idea is they come together and they learn strategies on how to improve their communities. So yeah, they just get nominated. You can nominate them, or you can share the link with other folks to nominate. But I added that description in the chat.
Yolanda, we'll add this to our, we put out a newsletter twice a month, so we'll add that to the OCPC newsletter.
Thanks, Mary.
So Mary, just to be clear, I intend to apply as the activist, and we collectively happy to take advice of anybody. Need to figure out who on the city side that would be. I get that's politically fraught a little bit. You know, is it the DPW's new traffic planner, if that person even exists, or is it one of the city councilors that's now on the traffic commission, for example? But that's I would like to see that happen in some way. So you're muted, Mary.
Sorry, we could have a sidebar conversation about
Yes,
that.
please.
But for my purposes, for OCPC, we'll be
Right.
this in our newsletter. So
Yeah, no, obviously there are other people in the region. I'm sort of placing dibs on Brockton. Happy to negotiate with other folk, if other Brocktonians want to, absolutely. I just want to let it be known I'm interested in it. So Brockton Bikes are interested. So.
All right. If there's nothing else, our next meeting will be during Bike Month on May 20th. And we'll see everybody then.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.